call this meeting to order at 7:31 p.m. Cheshire Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission regular meeting, Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. And the first item is Pledge of Allegiance. Does anybody have a picture of a flag around somewhere?
I got a real one on behind me or in front of me. Can't help it.
We will look through your eyes and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
flag,
the
United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Carrie, if you could call the roll.
Chairman Kurtz, Dr. Dimick,
Present.
David Brzezowski, Tim Graber,
Present.
Will McPhee,
Here.
Tom Norback.
present.
Okay, we have 5, which is we only need 4 for a quorum. The regular meeting of June 15th, we had minutes. I had submitted a proposed additions, corrections to them. Do we have a motion for approval of them with the suggested corrections?
I'll motion to
Moved by
approve
Tom,
the amended minutes.
second? Second by Carrie. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Under communications, Suzanne, if you could carry through on.
Okay, the first communication is a request for a permit extension for Lake Percival Estate. This is on the agenda under new business tonight. Second is a request for determination for 648 Wallingford Road. That's for the reduced upland review area impact. That's on the agenda under new business tonight. And supporting that request is a wetland impact assessment. And that is it for communications.
And inspection reports, are there written inspections?
No written inspections.
Staff?
Staff inspection of 720 Yalesville Road. At the last meeting or before the last meeting, I did confirm that the plantings had been completed, and I stopped by to take a look at the condition of the plantings. Some of them are in rough shape, and he's aware that they will need to be monitored, and if they don't make it through the season or next year, that they'll need to be replaced. And then also an inspection of 380 Carter Lane. We received a call about a shed that was being delivered to that property, and that the shed was placed near a pond. It's an open lawn area, and they did initially place the shed near the pond. It was brought in on a forklift and put in place. They have now since moved it 50 feet away from the edge of the pond, so they are outside of the upland review area. And it's in a lawn area where there was no work that needed to be done within that upland review area. So they were able to quickly address it before it even got noticed as a violation.
Good.
And that is it for inspections.
Thank you. Next section is enforcement actions. Item 1 is the 72 Yalesville Road, and you said you already did a site inspection.
Yes, and part of the requirement under the corrective order is that he would contact Jen Benno, who worked on the restoration plan, and that she would go out and do an inspection and provide a written document to the commission about the plantings to verify that it's the correct placement of number and type of species. They have been in communication, Mr. Everenge and Ms. Benno, and she had responded to him in an email that her work schedule didn't permit her to get this done by July 1st of 2021. So while he did have a corrective order date to get the plantings in by then, hopefully the commission can understand that, you know, he did reach out to this person in ample time, but that she's just not available to have that done by this meeting. So he is working on it, and she did indicate that she will be out there within the next couple of weeks.
Any questions of other members of the commission on this?
Oh, sounds kosher.
Sounds good.
Okay, moving to item 2 under enforcement actions, Mr. Ibrahim Krasniki, which is the property that got sold, and you were following through on that.
Yes, so a letter was sent out to the new property owner advising them that there are wetlands on the property and provided them with a map. That was sent out certified mail. I'm just waiting for the receipt to get sent back to our office, and then I will present the commission with a draft to release the cease and desist since it was addressed to the previous owner.
Third is notice of violation cease and desist order for Michael Antonetti, 38 Carter Lane. And we have a plan of action that has been submitted for corrective action there.
Yes, the commission had required that Mr. Antonetti work with a biologist to evaluate the area and come up with a restoration plan. And that was done by Jen Benno. And that information has been supplied to the commission for evaluation and her suggested restoration plan. And then there is also a draft motion which authorizes the incorporation of the restoration plan for the commission moving forward. And Mr. Antonetti is on the call tonight.
Well, I looked through the restoration plan and it looked pretty good to me. Tom, did you look at it?
I'm sorry to say I did not.
Oh, anybody else?
Yes, it looks good. It looks good.
Seemed to be thorough. Yeah.
Yeah, I've reviewed it as well. It's very detailed.
Yeah. And staff has provided a proposed wording for a draft motion for a corrective order. If we agree to the corrective order, that will be a way of resolving this cease and desist, and we can at a later meeting move to either remove or otherwise modify the cease and desist.
I'll move staff wording on this corrective order.
And I do have one suggestion that I'm noticing looking at item number 1 for the corrective order, which basically states that the restoration plan in the June 21st, 2021 report shall be adhered to. Planting should begin in fall 2021 as soon as the weather soil conditions permit. The planting plan shall be completed by October 31st. It's listed as 2022 and it should be 2021.
Okay, with that correction as understood, Terry Dunn has moved. Is there a second?
I will second.
Tim Graver has seconded the motion. Is there discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion the affirmative, and so shall be ordered.
And Mr. Antonetti, sorry, Dr. Dimick, if I
Yes.
could just address Mr. Antonetti, just to let him know that I will be sending him a copy of what the commission just passed, which basically sanctions the restoration report that Jen Benno put together, and it provides a time frame, like I just stated, October 31st of 2021 to get the plantings completed. So I'll be sending that out to you, Mr. Antonetti.
Okay, does that mean, Suzanne, that we can go back there and kill the knotweed, knock it down, try to get it ready for planting now?
You can start doing work now to pull that material out, yes.
Okay, so I can rake it and then pull the knotweed out and then prep it for the fall planting. It's quite overgrown back there, as you can imagine.
Yes, and knotweed is a pretty durable plant to try to remove. So certainly you can get started on the prep work now, and we can speak in more detail tomorrow or anytime this week if you'd like to give me a call.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ms. Benno's report indicated there's more invasive species than native species out there now. So in this restoration, if we do all native species, it'll certainly improve the whole thing. Item number 4, Michael and Amanda Clay, 42 Trout Brook Road. Suzanne, could you bring us up to date? Because I know you've been out there, met with Mike Clay on this.
Yes. So after the last meeting, I did provide Mr. Clay with a species list for species that work directly within wetland soils along the bank of the stream, as well as upland species to put basically on the edge of the lawn and the creek channel or the bank. I met with him and his landscaper and placed out where plants would go, as well as selecting which species would go in which areas. So in addition to that list, Mr. Clay is still interested in having shrubs on the property, specifically fruit trees, that he wanted to have some apples, and I believe he also said pears. And that would be done in addition to the restoration work to be done along the bank. And when I was out at the property, I could see where on the south side of that channel, you got a lot of sunlight that went directly down into the stream bed. And it's on the south side that he plans on placing those trees, and that he plans on putting them in between the existing trees. And while I was there, I could see that jewelweed and other perennials were sprouting up immediately along the stream bed. So while it may not provide a lot of shade, it provided some shading and protection of the watercourse. So in my conversation with Mr. Clay and his landscaper, the plan was that they were ordering the plants to pick them up this past weekend and to install them this past weekend. But understanding that we had a lot of rain, when I did go by the property today, I saw that it was not planted. I didn't get a chance to speak to Mr. Clay today. He was invited to the meeting tonight. I haven't heard from him today, but he has been cooperative and focused on getting this work done. So it seems as though it's moving in the right direction.
That sounds, certainly it is moving the right direction. We will expect at our next meeting another report from you as to progress on this. Thank you for the work so far. Unfinished, anything more on that? Any more?
No.
Okay, on unfinished business, we have permit application from Kim and Ravi. Date or Date? I'm not sure.
It's Date.
It's Date, yes. My memory's not the best in the world remembering these things when it comes to names. On pond restoration. And we received, too late for the packet, but it went out separately, I believe, a construction sequence that was completed by your landscaper.
Right.
Did the other commission members get that? We all got it. I know.
I think I got it.
Yeah. Tom's not sure whether he got it.
Yeah, Tom, that was emailed out separately, so you wouldn't have a paper copy of it.
Yeah, but I remember, all right, then I did get it and I looked at it.
Yeah, it was
because
the email.
When was it emailed?
It was emailed on Friday. Or I'm sorry, late in the day, Thursday. I do
Thursday.
I
have
did
it.
look at that during one of the rainy days.
I can share it on the screen if you'd like.
That would be great.
Yes, please.
It'll fit on one page.
Wait. It's not-
I'll take it back. It will fit on 2 pages.
Yeah, just gotta.
You need this. Can you all read that all right?
Yes.
Mhm.
On step 2, I'm in favor of, I'm curious as to how they're going to be able to catch the fish, frogs, turtles, etc.
Yeah. There's definitely not many fish there, and we don't see the turtles when the water goes away. And frogs, there's just too many to even count.
Yeah.
There used to be fish with the pond level
Low.
just so low, they've died off.
There's some tiny ones.
In the spring when the water comes rushing in, there could be some small fish, but the way the pond is now and the drainage issues and the pond going so low, it's just not survivable
For
long
anything
term.
large. Yeah. The
No.
turtles go into the woods or something.
The turtles come back, yeah. Good painted turtles.
Yeah, I went through the entire construction sequence here, and as far as it went, it seemed to be fairly good. But for our records, I think what we still need, my own opinion, the other commission members could chime in, is we need to have some kind of a map and drawing roughly to scale. It doesn't have to be within 5% or so, but roughly the scale, showing the pond, showing where the work is to be done, and scale roughly what the new outflow will be, and roughly where this overflow will be and its dimensions. Because just as a descriptive bit, it's not sufficient for what we have to put on record. We might understand it now, but what is on record and goes into our files need to be clear to those that come after us. And I'm not sure this is sufficient without those sketches. It doesn't necessarily have to be done by an engineer. It's possible that your landscaper can come up with that.
Okay. Yeah, I did bring up the idea of the engineer. He was hoping that this step-by-step would be good, but I will definitely go back to him with the request for a map. So yeah, putting these words into map form, I think that would be doable for him and better for filing purposes. And
yeah, it's possible 2 different people could read your description and end up with 2 different visualizations of what it is that there is.
Yeah.
Right.
After I read this, after we got it, I was like, take me outside and show me what he meant. So I totally get your point.
Other commission members have comments on this?
No, I think that's a relevant observation, and if they're willing to do it, then let's move on and we'll take a look at it next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's no further comment, I think we've made definite progress, but we got a little bit more to go, I think.
Okay.
And Dr. Dimick, just for a matter of housekeeping, this application has not yet been sent to the town engineer consultant because we were waiting for this information. So then I will wait for the plan to come in, and then that can get forwarded to the town engineer consultant for their comments.
Yeah, and one other thing occurred to me when we get to actually writing the permit. If we don't have the applicant's engineer, in other words, if the applicant does not have an engineer to be able to certify that it is a good plan, then I don't want the commission to be held responsible for approving something that doesn't work. So we might need a disclaimer in the final permit that that we do not warrant the workability of what is being proposed. Terry, you're more of a lawyer than I am on this, but
Makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, so the map is more of how it will be after it's completed,
Yes.
not the work where the what do you call it, the silt, the existing muck is going to be placed in the yard. That's not needed for the map.
I don't know. Is that a good question? Suzanne, do we want to know where they're placing the muck?
It's written in the statement, but I don't know if that's should be part of the map as well.
I think from where you told me it was going to be placed, it's not in the current wetland
It's not in the wetland.
in the outer area either.
And,
I think that maybe something in writing on the plan to that effect, saying that it will be placed outside of the 50-foot upland
Okay.
review
Yeah.
area.
Because we talked about like the woods and the front yard and not where.
Right, it's in the word or in the submitted document.
something about a depressed area on the lawn, they were gonna put it in.
Yeah, front
Right, it's in the
lawn.
front lawn. It's a south.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the main part of it. It was like all the way in the front yard, which is not, yeah, it's outside that 50 by a lot.
A simple plot plan of the house with an X of where it's going is all we need to show that.
Yeah. Mhm. Anything else occurs to either staff or commission members before we move on? Okay, well, we look forward then next meeting to have further progress on this.
Okay,
Right.
great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
We're moving right ahead tonight.
Killing it, Charles. You're killing it.
It brings us all the way to new business. The first item under new business is from George LaCava on Lake Percival. This is a project that we gave a permit for about 5 years ago, and it expires in a couple of months, and Mr. LaCava is looking for an extension there. I believe nothing has changed from the original proposal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr.
Nothing
LaCava?
So everything
under
is
this
the
permit
same.
has changed, yeah.
And no work has really been done.
All the site improvements were done many, many years ago, and we currently have a house under construction.
Okay, but I mean, of what was in the new permit, none of that is, or has it?
No, the new permit that we got 5 years ago was basically a re-permitting of the original permit we've got back in the early 2000s. So we completed all the site improvements back in the early 2000s. And then when the downturn came, we really kind of just sat on the job and didn't proceed. And now we're looking to build out, and we do have a house under construction. So we are basically just doing house construction now.
Well, Suzanne has submitted staff has submitted a draft motion for extension of the permit. People have a chance to look that over.
I'll move staff wording.
Terry Dunn has moved staff wording.
I'll second that.
Tom has seconded that. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, unanimous of those members present, and will be so ordered.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick and commission members. I appreciate it.
Thanks, George.
Okay, quite welcome there. And then there's only one more item under new business. The Whispering Oaks, 648 Wallingford Road. There has been a slight change in the plan as a result of what Planning and Zoning has requested of the applicant. We have plans showing what the changes are. The changes are not in the wetlands. And I believe the request for determination is whether or not any permit modification is needed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, for the record, Anthony Fazzone. That's correct. Would you like me to go through some of the details of the?
I don't look plain enough to me, but if anybody else wants to, go ahead. Tim was nodding his head.
It would be helpful. Yeah.
This was permitted in May, permit number 2021-14. As the agenda says, it's for property at 648 Wallingford Road. Paragraph 2 of the permit requires review by the commission of any changes to the plans. Very broad. We had a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing on June 14th. And as a result of that, the primary changes involve the number of units were reduced from 40 to 34, and an emergency access to Charles Drive was eliminated with a secondary access created out to Wallingford Road as a result of those comments. The upland review area disturbance is actually reduced by 1,493 square feet. There is absolutely no changes to the approved disturbances in the actual wetland areas. As a result of the redesign, open space changes from 14.8 acres to 15.7 acres. And there is actually a decrease in impervious coverage.
So the question before us is a request for us to determine whether or not a permit modification is needed as a result of these changes. Will you comment?
What would be the impact of a modification versus a determination that one is not needed?
If the determination is not needed, essentially all we have to do is, one, make that determination, and two, request that the modification to the plans be made on our records so that our records are complete and up to date. But we don't need to, would not need
And
the issue.
at that point, the existing permit would stay in effect for how many, for 5 years?
Yes, the permit is valid for 5 years with the ability to extend for an additional 5.
All right, so we just fold it into that if we find it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not necessary. All right, I would go, that would be my inclination.
Does somebody want to make a formal motion on this?
I'll make a formal motion on that.
Move to declare that the proposed modifications are de minimis and not needing a permit modification. Is that your wording?
Indeed, that is my wording. You're remarkable, Charles.
Read your mind. Moved by Tom Norback,
I'll second it.
seconded by Will McPhee. Further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Vote in the affirmative, unanimous by commission members present, and so ordered. Is there more
Thank-
business to come before
Thank
this?
you.
You're
Thank
quite
you, Anthony.
welcome. That was one of your relatives that died recently?
It was my brother.
Your
Sorry to
brother?
hear that.
I was awful sorry to hear that. It's hard to tell from the obituary sometime who was who.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Well, Phil's obituary was very lengthy, and he was a very accomplished physician and will be missed sorely.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, is there any other business to come before this meeting this evening? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right, good night, all.
I'll move it.
Is it-
Good enough for me.
Surprising vote.